Bore da pawb. Hello everybody. Welcome to My Wild Welsh Garden, or welcome back if you're an old friend. My name's Isabel and I garden here at the top of the Swansea Valley in South Wales. I've been gardening all my life and I've been a conventional gardener all my life, but a couple of years ago I decided I would make some changes and I would try and garden in a way that's as wildlife friendly as possible. More in line with sort of ecological principles than with conventional gardening wisdom. And I've been documenting what I've been doing in this YouTube channel. And those of you who have been watching me will know it's not been easy. It's very different. It's a very different way of looking at your garden. Well, I wouldn't exactly like to say that spring has arrived, because winter often has several stings in its tail. But we have had a couple of really spring-like days. And I shared with you in my last video how the frogs have arrived in my pond, and I have frog spawn for the second year, which is very exciting. And also that the hedgehog has woken from his hibernation. But there are some other signs of spring in the garden, and I'll just show you a few of those. I've just thrown the sultanas onto the lawn, and look, no blackbirds. During the winter, I could have 6 coming for their breakfast pretty regularly, and in the very cold weather, there might be 12 sitting around waiting for their breakfast. Yeah, so that's another sign of spring. The winter visitors have gone on their way back to Northern Europe, and the ones that are left, and there are still a few, are the resident ones. The buds on this flowering cherry are just getting ready to burst, as are the buds on the white camellia. And the first celandine flower. In my last video, I said that I would be setting up the Hedgehog Cafe, and a little bit later on in the video, I'll show you how I've done that and whether I had any customers during the night. One of the things that I've been struggling with is how to manage my native hedge, which runs all the way along the back wall of my garden. Because if you cut a hedge every year, then you cut all the flowers and fruit off, and you don't have flowers for the insects and you don't have fruit for the birds. But if you don't cut it, the danger is that all the little hedge plants will just grow into trees, and then it's not a hedge, because the best sort of hedge for wildlife is a very thick and untidy one. And I was toying with the idea of trying to lay it. Well, first of all, I thought I'd cut alternate sides, alternate years, so each side would have 2 years growth. And then I thought maybe I would try and lay a hedge. So just a bit of explanation about hedge laying. This is a procedure that's been done in the UK for many, many years, hundreds of years, I guess. And the reason is to make a hedge stock-proof, so to keep animals either in or out of a field. And this is because if you trim the top of a hedge and the sides of a hedge, it does thicken up, but you get gaps at the bottom that animals can sort of push their way through. So when you lay a hedge, you cut partially through the trunk of the little hedge plants, little hedge trees, and you bend the tree over so that it's almost horizontal. And then side shoots grow from the original trunk and they grow upwards. And also new little trunks grow from the cut that you made in the old trunk. And that makes the hedge thicker and it makes it denser. It makes it better for keeping animals in and out of fields, but it also makes it better for wildlife. And that's what I want it to do. I have no animals to keep in or out. I just want this hedge along the back of my garden to be the best habitat it can possibly be for the wildlife that comes here. Well, somebody commented a few videos back about a website, which I'll put details of in the description. The sort of National Hedge Layers website, and that I could go on there and find somebody local who would, know what they were doing and come and do it for me. And it's a fascinating website because it shows you all the different styles of hedge laying, because every part of the UK has a different style. But I searched for my area, and there's nobody in my area that's a qualified and skilled hedge layer. But really, given the amount that a jobbing gardener who wasn't really a gardener charged me to dig a few shrubs up, I wouldn't be able to afford a proper hedge layer anyway. And so this chap said, I think he was a chap, he said, well, I should really just go back to the idea of cutting it, half of it each alternate years. And I thought, well, is he saying that I shouldn't try and lay it? So I asked him if he was a qualified hedge layer and sort of with what authority he was speaking, but he didn't get back to me. So I haven't actually done anything with that hedge, but I do have a little hedge over the road. I call it my over the road because it's over the road, and it's a little bit of just waste ground really that I manage for wildlife and just leave it alone most of the time. But I had a few hedge plants left over from the hedge that I planted at the top of my garden, and I put them in there, so I just have a short hedge there. I thought I would have a go at laying it. So what can I say? All qualified and skilled hedge layers better not watch the video. I wasn't going to show you this, and the reason is because I'm really worried that I've just made a complete mess of it and it's going to be a disaster. But in the interest of transparency, I decided I would film it. And the thing is that the afternoon is wearing on. The light's going to fade, and tomorrow it's going to rain. So I thought I'd come out now and show you what I've been doing. Well, first of all, there was a lot of bramble in the hedge, so I had to just clear all that away, which is the most horrible job. And several of these little shrubs are very prickly. The hawthorn is very prickly, and the blackthorn is, well, it's just vicious. That's all I can say. I would have said that there wasn't any aspect of gardening that I disliked, but I've decided definitely pulling out brambles I really dislike. I'd love to say, I enjoyed doing this, but I didn't. It was horrible. I did buy one of those special sort of machete tools for hacking sort of part way through the trunks of these little trees, but I couldn't use it, so I've just used a saw. So I think you can see down there that I've just sawed through the trunk and bent it over, and then again over there. And then in between there's a dog rose, and well, that just bends, so I've just bent that over and sort of looped it. But these two are hawthorn, I think, or they could be blackthorn. This is one of the bird cherries. And I have had a word with my friendly tree surgeon next door, Liam, who apparently lays hedges, and he says that this should be fine for what I want it for. And I just want it for habitat for birds, perching places and nesting places. I haven't done all of the hedge actually. I've only done about 2/3 of it, 3/4 of it. So I've done this end, which was really, what was it? Hawthorn, blackthorn, dog rose, hazel, bird cherry. And then at the bottom here, there's a couple of, actually more than that, 4 I think, bird cherries, which I've left as trees. And then there's an old buddleia there, and I've left that as well. And the other thing that I've been doing is pulling all the brambles out and cutting them back. I can't possibly get rid of the brambles, but each year I get rid of as many of the sort of long loops as possible. And I've put them all up on the dead hedge over there. And I've been remembering the workshop that I went to at Knapp, where disturbance is the key. This is a small area where there were quite a few wildflowers. And I think, I'm just wondering what that is actually. I think it's an evening primrose. But there were foxgloves here and evening primroses. Yeah, here's one. Knapweed down here. So I've been doing a little bit of disturbance here and hopefully we'll get some more wildflowers germinating. And I've also cleared all along the front of my little plot of land here, taken all the weeds off the pavement, and I've excavated my sign. And for those of you who weren't following me this time last year, just a bit of explanation. I have an annual battle with my local council to stop them from spraying weed killer along here and along the front of my house. So there's no excuse because there's no weeds on their pavement to spray. All neat and tidy. So this is done now, my little over the road. I won't come in here again to do any work until this time next year. The only thing I'll come in for is to put some things on the dead hedge that if I need to, like rose prunings from the back garden, and I'll come here in the summer to see what wildlife there is. But other than that, it'll just be left alone. And I'll see whether my hedge laying works. And if it works here on this little bit of hedge, then next year, next winter, I may well have a go at doing the hedge at the top of my garden. So back to the garden and we'll see what's happening with the hedgehogs. I've brought the hedgehog cafe out. It spends the winter in the woodshed. So I've brought it out and it all looks a little bit complicated because I have to keep the cats out and they are very good at getting in. And I've put the sign up. This was a Christmas present from my daughter. And this is what's on the menu. It's kitten food, dry kitten food, and chicken flavoured, I think. I don't give them the fish one. I did think that it might be harmful to them, but apparently they just don't like the taste, which kind of figures because hedgehogs don't eat fish. And then all I do is I just lift that up and slide it underneath. And then I put a brick on top of the tunnel there, which just stops the cats from getting their faces in and tipping it up. And that's it. The Hedgehog Cafe is open for business. And there's the trail cam pointing over there, so we can see if the hedgehog goes in and out of the cafe. And now it's next morning, so we'll go and see if the hedgehog has eaten any of the food. Well, it does look like it, doesn't it? And isn't he messy, the way he just tips it out onto the floor? So I'll take the bowl away and I'll clear up the spills because that just attracts slugs. And we'll see if the trail cam has caught any hedgehog action during the night. was that one hedgehog or two hedgehogs or even three hedgehogs? It's very difficult unless you actually catch two together on camera, which I have done in the past. So I'll keep putting the camera out and see what happens. So I think that's it really for hedgehogs and hedges this week. So thanks for visiting me again in my Wild Welsh garden, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Wild out!